Hi, I'm Joy. Welcome to the May Garden Tour. I am very proud of where I'm at here in the beginning of May as far as the garden. There's still a lot to get done, but I think I've set myself up pretty well. We're going to start off this tour with the balcony here. I cleaned up my strawberry beds, topped it off with some compost, and I also cleaned up the old, what are these, ground cherry beds, and also filled that up and potted. Need to weed. So I'm expecting great things from these strawberries. They were awesome last year, and it's really nice to just come out first thing in the morning and have a snack. I found three ground cherries fit really well in these little milk crates. All right, let's keep on. Just a little something I forgot to mention in the last video. This is a snake tongue that I rescued from the garbage. No, it was given to me. It was half alive, and then I neglected it. So then I dug it up and saw the root condition was still good. And so I took care of it, and now it is absolutely fantastic. We got 3 new leaves, and I find that this zippy bag here, keeping the moisture and humidity high, has really been the ticket. And this also sits in the bathroom, so it gets, that humidity every so often. This is my original plant. This is a cutting I took because it had started to get very tall. This is where I took it from. And it feels snug in there, so I think it rooted. But I'm not going to bother it for a while. Just let it do its thing. Something else I've been busy with are the sweet potatoes indoors. I did decide to take the longer stems and cut them into pieces. This is one of the super long ones. And these were a few more that I'm rooting. And the original plant is still in the container. I have plenty here also. And usually I find that once I pull this up, they will already have roots on them. So I don't have to take the extra step of putting them in water. I just took like a very long vine. It was starting to get 3 feet long, and I cut that into pieces so that I would have more slips. These won't be going in the ground for another couple of weeks. Oh, while I'm here, I have this amaryllis for 8 years now, and this is the second flower. It flowered like a month ago, and I can't find the other stalk. Oh, here, I cut it off. This is the second flush, which has never happened before. Usually I get once a year, or like maybe twice a year, but spread out quite a bit. But this is the first time it's coming on one after the other. For the outside tour, I think we'll start with the chickens today. Hello, ladies and gents. I've been slowly but surely putting wood chips in here to combat all the muddiness from the winter. I set up one of the pallets back there to grow just some random vegetables. So there's mesh chicken wire on top, and it'll poke through. That way the chickens don't destroy it all in one go. And here, the compost pile. I was really intimidated by this space at first, but I've since done my turnover to this pile, and I'm feeling really good about it. I've also put the tumbler stuff in here and topped off with the remaining chicken poop clean out stuff. So that's going to sit there for several months cooking away. Over here we have the currant bush, or will it be a bush at some point? But it's got flowers and even fruits. So that's exciting. Very excited to see what that looks like. The blueberries, a lot more of them have a good flush of flowers. This has not been the case in the past. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6 have of the 9 have a good set of flowers. And then my potatoes that I put in the pouches, and this onion. Oh my goodness, look at all the dandelion seeds that have stuffed themselves in here. I'm gonna have to work on that. Here's another bag of potatoes. And then my main potato bins are looking so healthy and strong. I do have a couple of leeks in here. Might be getting shaded out. I'll have to see. Take a look at that later. Here's the other potato bin. So these are looking really healthy and strong. Very happy with that. The future tomato space is still in the works for this month. This month is the setup for that. The garlic looks fantastic. Really good height, really good color. I'm very happy with what we might be getting. I do see that the ones at the perimeter tend to be smaller. Maybe the soil dries out more on the corners, whereas the middle ones look much greener, much bigger. And then this, I'm also counting this as a huge win. This is the winter rye cover crop that I've got here. This is the largest I've gotten it, and I think that's mainly due to the solarization that I did back in March. It's starting, I pulled up quite a bit of it, but we have the seed phase is starting, and this would be where they would still be milky, not yet turned to mature seeds. So here's one. And I pulled some and gave them to the chickens. But this is due for its death this weekend. I'm just going to chop and drop. I am going to tarp over the space to make sure we have no regrowth, and even to kill off some of the weeds that have popped up in the space. We are going to be putting our peppers, okra, eggplant, and corn. That's what we did here last year. I'm going to try it again this year. Hopefully we're not, we shouldn't have any problem with not having rotated. Over on this side, this bed had a lot of spinach grown in, and most of them have taken in this space. So there'll be a nice crop of spinach from here. I also put a lot of spinach in this bed, but they have all nearly disappeared. And even if they didn't, they're very stunted. This one, and maybe one more somewhere in this whole space where there was, a lot. So something like this bed a lot. And I've recently plugged in some kohlrabi, so nothing has eaten those yet, so that's a good sign. This bed is still empty. I haven't decided what exactly I'm going to be putting in here, but I've at least got an idea to put maybe loofah or cucumbers up, or melon. I think maybe melon will be using that support, and I have a secondary one for using the grow bags and putting something vining in those. Let me just give you a quick update on how the elderberry shrubs are doing. Growing really well. No problems. Here we have a few of the asparagus. They're not doing as well here. It's a lot more compact in this space, but they're still here. and still providing food. These broccoli, I'm letting go to flower. This is their second year, and then I will be cutting them off soon as I have been plugging in. Here's a lacinato kale. No, which one's this one? Yeah, that is a lacinato. I had a blue kale here, but something took it. So I'll be plugging in another kale there in a little while. This is also a red, maybe a red ursa kale that's going to flower. So I'm going to let this go to flower for a little while and then take them out and replace them. Here's a nice asparagus coming up there. And this one is already gone almost to flower. I'm seeing some things I'm not happy about. This is my artichokes, 2, 3, and there's supposed to be 2 more, and they are gone. Something has nipped the bud on that one, and also this one. But there's still enough left that I think it will regrow, but that doesn't mean that we'll get any fruit out of that. Well, here's an asparagus stalk I pulled yesterday. It's an inch thick. I see slime, so that's a slug damage there. That's how big some of the asparagus are. So awesome. These are the Martha Washington. The rhubarb, I am almost to harvesting. I think this is done real well. I'm not a fan of completely covering it up. I think you're losing out on the nutrients that the sun would be providing. But this situation encourages really long stalks, so you get a lot more bang for your buck. But I've got, aside from the flowering stalks here, I've got some nice long stalks I can be harvesting pretty soon. All right, this lone artichoke plant is doing fine by itself. It's grown quite well here. I'm going to be dotting around it with some zinnias, I suspect. And over here, most of the asparagus are starting to mature already, but we still have a few harvests for dinners left over. I gave in and actually bought this peppermint plant because I couldn't wait. It looks very healthy here. I gotta make sure to trim it doesn't get out. And then my spearmint that I seeded are finally coming up. They took forever to come up, and then they stayed small, but now they're finally getting some size, so I'm excited about that. My fountain is doing so nicely. Oh, did you know that tulip flowers are edible and delicious? This was the red one that comes up here every year, and it was starting to go already, so I picked the rest of the petals and served them for dinner actually, and everybody loved them. They have a sweet flavor and tropical notes. So this one is going to be next. I found the other tulip that grows here, and I'm going to be eating those petals pretty soon. The azaleas look really nice this year. They weren't as pretty last year. And my sage are looking very healthy as well. This is the second year for these. Those are like 5-year-old sage. I'm very happy with them. Over here is overwintered snapdragons. I see they're starting to go to flower. And then in this space, I plugged in some new seedlings, so they'll fill up nicely. And here we have my foxgloves. They should be flowering this year. I think that's a pretty good indication. Now this space has been seeded several times and several times have failed. So I will be plugging in some established plants and our flowers here in a little while. Here's another very good looking. Look how big this is. Oh my gosh. That is, oh, let me see. Can I get that back there? It's larger than my arm. And no, the stalks don't have to be red for it to be edible. That is some very nice rhubarb plant. And there's several plants in here. This is the one main, this is the second one. There's a third one. And I dug up another one that was back here. And then I have these other ones that stay small. They don't like their situation here, which is weird because they get more light. But I'll probably change these location at some point later in the year. My peas, my first round, my only round, are doing really well. They have not been accosted by anything, so we will have a good little patch of peas this year. And the carrots came up beautifully. I did have some spots, empty blank spots, just a few, but I did reseed where there were spaces. So there'll be a second flush at some point of those seeds. But the carrots are looking really good so far. This bed I've been slowly plugging into. I don't think that cabbage is going to make it. It's already going to flower, and it's not a big flower. I have Swiss chard there, some collard greens, another Swiss chard, more Swiss chard, red acre cabbage, broccoli, Bates kale. I had another collards, but it got decapitated. And then I'll fill in other vining things here because I have a trellis here, and also put in some more greens as we go. My sunchokes are doing so well now. They've grown beautifully in these containers. I am very happy with how well they're going to do this year. Our leeks and even the celery are doing really nicely in these containers. And I still have 2 more areas to plug in some kind of green. Here we have, our composting area. So I emptied out the winter round of compost, and that's what's in by the chickens. And this is the second round going now. We've been using our compost teas to water here and there. And these potatoes are doing well. So that was the overwintered potato. And so that's coming up really well. And then these were planted recently. And the onions here are also doing well. Not as well as the one that I'm actually more taking care of, but they're up. Oh, I also found a bean. A bean has found its way. I grew beans here last year, so I'm guessing maybe that's where this came from, but I wasn't expecting that. But it's looking like it's getting chewed up pretty well, so it might not make it to maturity. The raspberries are doing pretty well. And here's another patch of the asparagus. These have not harvested as much, but still better than nothing. And I worked on this little area the other day, trying to get some flowers up in there. This little guy is a ground cherry. Yeah, I needed to make sure I at least gave it a chance with this covering from the bigger pests. So hopefully that makes it. But usually I do get volunteers of ground cherry because I've grown ground cherry here several years now. But I just wanted to make sure that I did have something in the ground in case the volunteers failed me. Over here, I finally made some progress on cleaning up this area. I'll start with the calendula. You can see all the volunteers. It's a little spotty, but there's still plenty of seeds that haven't germinated, and I have plenty of seeds indoors I can plug in also, which I usually do once the big ones have started. I fill in the gaps. And then I completely forgot I had this bee balm here because it was so puny last year. But now it is, as been warned, taking up the space pretty well. So I'm gonna really have to be mindful that this doesn't get out of hand. But I'm very happy that this came back. The work on the area with the saffrons is not complete, but we're working on it. And then over this way, more wonderful looking strawberries. Oh no. And then I plugged in some more lavender and also my marshmallow. Let's see if we can find any more. Here we go, more marshmallow. Here's marshmallow again, some puny lavender, and another lavender. I thought I had more marshmallow. Is that what I lost? No, I think that was it. Oh, there it is. It's all the way over here. But they're getting eaten. Hopefully they survive. This is the second attempt at the marshmallows. Over here, the yarrow is coming up very well. I placed another order of, this is the yellow or golden. So I placed an order for the more varied coloration, pastel colors. I'm very happy to see my chamomile. These are the volunteers. That one's and these, but the ones that I started indoors, I plugged in. So I have a nice row here of chamomile. So I like the idea. Last year I was able to harvest standing, so because they're elevated here, and I was just able to stand and pick the flowers. So it was a nice height. So I wanted to do that. So I did a row of it instead of putting it in the bed more. Here's a volunteer sage that I did not plant. And then, the soil I used did come from a garden. So I am seeing a lot of volunteer, I'm guessing mustards. That's the only thing I can think of. And some other kind of brassicas that I did not plant. They look good, whatever they are. I hope they're collards or something. Here's another two. But what I did plug in there's oregano right there. It's either parsley. No, that's dill. This is parsley. And then cilantro over here. Another oregano. There's thyme. I plugged thyme in somewhere. And then my radish starting to get nibbled on. Yep. Ants. Ants are a problem. They are eating up some of my produce. And this is the time I had in a pot and didn't look so great over winter, but now it is coming back with a vengeance. That is beautiful. Just beautiful. And then we have this foxglove over here. And over here, as expected, the pak choi has bolted, gone to flower. So that will be ant food. I did eat a few sprigs, but in the salad, no, it was stir fried, yeah. And you can see some tunneling or chipmunk. I attribute this to chipmunk damage. But ants have been the culprit from what I could see of the chewed up leaves. Now, when I was harvesting this like 2 weeks ago, they were puny little leaves. Now look how well they've bounced back. So I've already cut back from this and made a nice salad. So this is the second round, or third round, I should say. But the leaves are much bigger this time around. Now I did seed more more lettuce, but as you can see, no, you can't see, but that's been dug up, and that's been all dug up. So I'm gonna seed some more and then put some kind of covering on here to keep the seeds in. Here is my prized onion bed. They have grown leaps and bounds also in the last month. I don't think I need the mesh anymore, but just in case. So they were about just half the size, and now they've doubled, I'd say. They've doubled in size. I think the burgundy are doing much better than the yellow, but that doesn't mean anything. I'm very happy. So far, so good. I might actually have a better onion harvest. And weeding. There's weeding to be done soon in these beds. And our green stalk. This was another area that I had thinned and made little baby greens. But now the leaves have really bulked up compared to that first round. And we ate some from this the other day. But the whole thinning out idea gives room for the remaining plants to get much bigger. So we've got very nice strawberries coming up here. This is my one lone. I don't know what this is. That's the pink flowers. But I did just order another another batch of strawberries. So June bearing, because these tend to be ever bearing. So I wanted more June bearing. I plugged in a couple of celery. So they're bouncing back from the transplant. The spinach here is doing very well. This is a sweet banana pepper. It just got plugged in, so it's still acclimating there. The Swiss chard, there was more, but only one has survived. Beets have not taken the beets. Well, maybe that's a beet. That might be a beet, but for the most part, beets have failed me. I reseeded, not reseeded. I haven't reseeded. I should. I tried to get some beets going, but they got dug up the day after. Bok choy is being ravaged. This one is a tatsoi, also getting holes all over it. What else is doing well here? Another Swiss chard doing well. Another spinach. Yeah, so the green stalks doing all right. So there are some spaces. These, I don't know, this is supposed to be purslane. There was a lot of seeds in here. So if that's a purslane, that is the only one that came up. Same with the sorrel. If that's a sorrel, that's the only one that came up. And I filled these with hundreds of seeds and cress also. I mean, I just, those are clovers. I don't know what happened to these seeds, if they were too old or not. But yeah, we will be plugging in, or maybe the strawberries that I just got will be going in here. So we won't be making any decisions just yet. Oh yeah, I seeded more. No, this was parsley that took forever to come up. Yeah, so the parsley's finally coming up in there. But we shall see what to do with these later on. And lastly, we're going to end with the other strawberries. These are doing very nice. It's going to be a great strawberry year. I'm going to actually have enough to store or make jams out of. This is going to be fantastic. In here is ginger. I haven't seen them pop up yet, but our nights are still pretty chilly. So I can understand why they might still be taking their sweet time. But hopefully we get some ginger out of there. Tempting as it may be, the weather is still not there yet. The nights are still dipping into the 40s, which most plants, they've been acclimated, they can survive. but they may not thrive. So I'm still waiting. Plus, I saw my plant sale, so I'm trying to get rid of as many plants that way before I go full speed ahead on planting. So this month of May is going to be concentrating on the infrastructures that are left, um, terminating cover crops, and setting up the new trellis system I want for my tomatoes, and also continuing to move the wood chips, sifting soil, turning compost, that all that stuff. But thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and keep up with all the shenanigans around here. Otherwise, I'll see you at the next garden tour. Sow well, harvest more. Bye.